Sometime before the band broke big, our producer, Ken Scott, who was also representing the US at the time, called me up one afternoon. Ken said, "I have this offer here for you guys to play something called the US Festival with David Bowie and U2." The 3-day event was scheduled to take place over Memorial Day weekend in 1983. Ken continued, "They want to offer you $150,000 to play 40 minutes. $150,000 and 5 helicopters to bring you in. Plus, Hotels Steve Wozniak, the co-founder of Apple Computers, was putting the U.S. Festival on and apparently wanted missing persons. Wozniak, or Woz as he was known, had put on the U.S. Festival the year before, in 1982. That year, everyone from the Kinks to the Ramones, Santana, and the Cars had played. The 1983 edition looked to be even bigger, and he wanted us, missing persons. Ken repeated the offer and asked what I thought. I said to Ken, $150,000, huh? Do you think you could call them back and ask for $250,000 and tell them scrap the helicopters? I want $250,000 and 5 parking spaces backstage right by the stage." Ken got quiet. I could feel his annoyance through the telephone line. After a loud sigh, he then said, "Really, Dale? Really? They just offered you $150,000, Dale. That was more money than we had ever seen, never mind $250,000. At that point, we were playing club gigs for maybe 50 people, getting paid $75 total. But something inside me told me to ask for more. I don't even know why I thought that at the time. I was so full of myself. I thought, why would anyone give $150,000 for a little stupid street band who were playing clubs? I knew something was up. I said to Ken, "Just ask them." Less than 20 minutes later, Ken called me back and told me the deal was done. They agreed to the $250,000. And he added, "I can't fucking believe it. They scrapped the helicopters for 5 parking spaces." "At the stage?" I asked. "Yes," was Ken's frustrated reply. When it came to missing persons, I felt the players were so powerful that no one could fuck with us. The lineup for the weekend included everyone from The Clash to Van Halen and Missing Persons. We played on the 3rd day, Memorial Day, May 30th, 1983. The best day of the whole festival. The full lineup for the day was Los Lobos, Little Steven from Springsteen's band, Quarterflash, Berlin, Missing Persons, U2, The Pretenders, Joe Walsh, Stevie Nicks, and David Bowie. Bowie was on last. The day of the show, I have never been so scared in all my life. We hit the stage at noonish for our tight 40-minute set. There were like 1 million people out there in a field. It was 104 degrees in the sun, in the dust and dirt. I've never seen so many people in my life. I could almost feel my aunt's hand pushing me on the back to get me on stage like when I was a kid. That was the pinnacle of Missing Persons success. Once I walked out there, I took complete control. At this point, I thought to myself, this is pretty fucking incredible. I was up on this stage looking over this ocean of people. The nerves melted away. I was such a ham then, and I was seeking fame so bad. This was my ticket. Eventually, the people melted into a giant sea. As I looked over it, I knew we had something. We created a condition you couldn't ignore. From day one, we were badass rock stars. My mission was to make Missing Persons famous and rich. First famous, then rich. Money has never been a priority or concern for me. After we finished, we stayed and hung around the rest of the day. First, we went back into our private dressing room to celebrate the accomplishment we had just achieved. The dressing room tent was fully stocked with a ton of champagne and cognac and cocaine. It was a massive celebration. We partied all afternoon. After we were good and ready, we wandered from tent to tent trying to meet the other bands. There were so many rock stars walking in that backstage area in the dirt, wind, and dust. It was a solid state celebration. So much was happening. It was flashing in front of my eyes so fast. The day became a blur of images and moments. We waited around because we wanted to see David Bowie in person. He wasn't on till close to 9 o'clock at night. We all waited and waited. We thought we would be able to jump up on the stage because we had backstage passes. Me, Terry, and Warren were on the side of the stage watching Stevie Nicks play. I was watching her, and Stevie Nicks had on the tallest shoes. I watched her from the side of the stage, nervous that she would fall from those shoes. I was waiting for her to fall, but she never did. She was brilliant and stunning, doing her twirls. I got to say hello to her after her set. That was fantastic. She was so charming. Years later, we met again, and she gave me one of her rings. I saved it. I still have it. After her set, we were waiting to see Bowie. Suddenly, the fire marshal showed up and said, "Nobody gets to be on stage while Bowie is on." He told everyone standing there we would have to leave the side stage. Wait, what? We were waiting so long to watch Bowie. I remember I was standing next to Lindsey Buckingham. He and I looked at each other as we were both escorted completely off the stage. I looked at Terry Bozzio. The disappointment on all our faces was so clear. We waited there all day. What about our all-access artist passes? The only reason I was in the music business was to have a backstage pass. Surely we can stay. Nope. Fire marshal said move, and they threw us off the fucking stage. That was it. Left in the dirt. We had to watch Bowie from behind the stage. We couldn't even go out front into the crowd. Got to see his set from behind. At least I had a clear view of his ass. Halfway through his set, we decided it was time to pack up and leave because it was going to be so impossible to get out of there, which it was. We had to go. We lined up all the cars and started to go. That's when I understood why they wanted to give us helicopters. They knew it would be impossible to leave. They were right, but it was too late. It took close to half a fucking day to get out of there by car. Driving up a dirt road packed with people crashed on the sides of the road. People were puking and shitting and dying, crying and kissing, fucking. It was insanity. I had never seen anything like it. Woodstock had nothing on us. When we first did the festival, I thought it would be our big break. It was, and it wasn't. I believe that was an event for our generation, like Woodstock. I don't believe it made people. The bands that played were going to be what they were going to be because they were who they were. All the people that got to play on the gig were great choices by Steve Wozniak. Smart move. He picked all the cool people of the day to play. It was U2. It was David Bowie. No explanation needed. And it was us. We were the thing at the time. After that, we were on the TV show Solid Gold. We were on that show twice. Doing the show was rather awkward because it was a lip sync show. They wouldn't let us play live. We were a tight live band then and really wanted to show that. But that was not how Solid Gold operated. Everyone who ever went on the show had to lip sync. The biggest stars and the newest acts. Terry, Warren, and I found it a bit goofy. It was rather awkward. It became a sort of semi-acting job. The lip sync had to be perfect, and the band had to look like they were playing even though the amps were all off. We had to make the audience in the studio and at home think we were doing it live. Terry, Warren, and I said to each other, "Well, this is funny." It was such a joke to us. We did it. The first time we did that show, Eddie Money was also a guest. After that, we did the Merv Griffin show. Again, Eddie Money was there too. I guess we were running in the same circles. That show was really uptight. I was excited about it until the producers gave us a set of rules. Don't talk to Merv off camera. Also, don't ask for his autograph. We were warned ahead of time not to bother Merv. I knew my father liked Merv, and he thought this was the ultimate success. We played on the show. It was lip sync too. Merv introduced as a hot new band from LA. We played, and after the song, Merv walked over to us, over to me, since I was in front. He walked over to me and he kissed me. Merv kissed me, and we went to commercial. Then he was gone. My dad loved the fact that I, as on MERV, he cried. It was one of his favorite shows. I called him from California later that night. He was so proud of me. He was always proud of me since I was a little girl. He never made me feel less than special. I was his superstar, and now I was on Merv. The band was on the cover of People magazine. People magazine. Only stars got to be on the cover, and there we were. When we were on Entertainment Tonight, I knew we had hit it big. I thought that was the coolest thing right there. The show was so popular, and they were featuring us. Big time, nice to meet you. My attitude with the music business was the same as what my father told me how to build a house. The foundation has got to be strong. You've got to know what you put in that foundation. That way, you'll know what the house can withstand. If you don't have the foundation, things will crumble. Same went for a band. I knew our foundation was Terry, Warren, and Dale. At the start, we were strong. Sadly, after a few years at the top, our foundation started to crumble.